Alright everybody, welcome back to Columbia City. So, as you can see, we're over here in the financial sort of district across the highway from downtown. And I'm starting off here. I intended to really detail and finish this area specifically, but then I ended up working further north, I guess if you can imagine that in Seattle terms, along the highway, and we filled in a bunch of areas. I wanted to experiment with some like modern apartments and stuff. I ended up using a lot of stuff from the vanilla game, actually, using Plop the Growables, and that ended up working best for me for the sort of gentrified district we end up working on. So the idea is that the district near this, financial district used to be, relatively working class, at least reasonably, and then, the financial firms came in, and it has absolutely no resemblance of its former self. So you'll see that sort of reflected in the way we work on the residential district a little bit later on. But I mean, so this episode I recorded, I don't know, pretty recently. It was the first video I had recorded in a while. I was planning on actually uploading a Calavera Beach video, but I had a lot of trouble just sort of experimenting with all the new Licho Southern California houses. They work fine. It's just I needed to get used to their mechanics and stuff. So I'm probably going to end up re-recording that, actually. So you're going to end up seeing that at some point, just not quite yet. So definitely look forward to that, because I just actually went mountain biking in the hills here, and I want to sort of get a lot of those vibes reflected in the way I work on the hillsides for that series, and I want to figure out how I can do that, because I'm having some trouble, but I'm just going to think about it, try a couple different things, but obviously Calavera Beach is not gone. Right now, I'm having a lot of fun with Columbia City, because I'm able to work on a lot of projects that have these West Coast vibes that I see in parts of California, but also a lot of the big city East Coast vibes of the high density, etc. And I don't know. I find Seattle to be a really interesting place because it sort of combines a lot of the elements of East Coast cities with a lot of the elements of West Coast cities. In a way, and I'm having a lot of fun with that. It's really interesting to work with stuff like that. Editing this is really weird because my mouse sort of died, like the scroll wheel's dead. I've got a SteelSeries Rival 300, I think they call it now, and it was like a replacement mouse because the other one had a broken scroll wheel as well. So now I've got two Rivals with broken scroll wheels. So I'm probably gonna buy like a open box MX Master or something. If you have any really good recommendations, like I'm not looking for a crazy gaming mouse or something, just something that's good for editing and city skylines and stuff. So recommendations are welcome. I might have already bought it by the time you give the recommendations, though, because honestly, it's really annoying editing without being able to scroll through my timeline. Alright, so I guess we will go and look at some of the stuff you guys have created, because you've sent stuff in. So I've got like a crazy backlog of viewer created builds that I have to showcase. So I want to start with this one here, which I really like. This is by Quentin, who built the Boston themed city that we showcased a couple of videos ago. So this is a Sydney, Australia style build, which I love. I mean, it's totally got the geography of Sydney, and I love this overview with the Sydney Harbor Bridge and everything. It's like a lot less detailed than a lot of the stuff I do, but when you do that, you're able to get it to be on a massive sort of scale. So I'm loving the overview of it. Obviously, it's pretty vanilla, so I'd maybe grab some graphics mods or cube maps or something like that at least, or like vanilla trees remover and just use workshop trees. But if you want to work on like vanilla type stuff, that's totally fine. It's not that hard to change the way the game looks just a tiny little bit without much effort, without much of a frame rate drop, and get like much better results. But I love the overview here. Really awesome project. All right, next up here, we've got a quickie. It's a Detroit-themed project that's very much a work in progress by Sepkron, and I'm loving it. I mean, it's got sort of the Detroit vibes that you'd want to see. You've got a lot of the Detroit buildings by Darf and stuff like that. I've used a lot of those in New Windsor, where people ask me if it's a Detroit-themed city, but this actually is. So I really like it. I mean, I love this waterfront view here. It's really awesome. And the overview here just shows, I mean, there's a lot of work to do, but I'm liking the road layout. It's very, it's unique. It's not some stupid grid layout. It looks really cool. So definitely a pass on the road layout for me. Can't wait to see more. Alright, so let's talk about what's going on in-game. So I'm trying to work with these elevations by, as you saw before, using the ploppable pavement behind the buildings just to hide the weird terrain shift, because I don't want to put concrete there on a cliff. But we do add a lot of trees in between some of the apartments that we work on a little bit later, so you'll see that. Another thing, I tried to, rather than putting the viewer-created build clips over the time-lapse, since we've got a lot of unique stuff going on here today, I'm just going to, I cut the time-lapse, and you're seeing basically starting from where we were, so we don't lose any precious time-lapse footage, because we've got a lot of cool stuff here. So as you can see, I'm trying to up the density here a little bit. Compared with what you would expect for, like, maybe, actually no, I mean, about this far out from downtown LA, you'd probably have this kind of density, but it's decently high density, and we've got a lot of these modern apartments from the vanilla game that I'm adding here. They're actually surprisingly good. They're really good, actually, and the models are great. You're able to not have them right up against each other like a lot of the time. So the neighborhood I'm working on, or that I'm basing this off of in Seattle, has got just a lot of these modern apartment buildings, and they're all over the place. They're all these different shapes and whatever. They're not row houses necessarily. I do add some row houses just for a little bit of an older vibe in some of the areas, but I'm not sure how realistic that is specifically. Mostly I'm trying to add these, different types of modern apartment buildings, or at least generally modern, not, olds, early 1900s row houses. If that makes any sense. And yeah, honestly, it ends up looking really good, because what we do is we add some trees sort of in between them, because in the neighborhood we're working on here, in the Seattle counterpart, it's got a lot of trees. It's got a lot of trees because it's obviously the Pacific Northwest, so there are going to be trees basically everywhere. Wherever I can fit them in between the buildings, I try to add them. Seattle's much less of a concrete jungle than some other cities are, just because of, how many trees are in the region. Another thing I try to do here, I started bringing out some of the the Columbia City suburb houses that we worked on the live streams, which I'm loving. I mean, we've got King Leno released some new reskins of some of the University City houses that I really want to work with and turn into Columbia City houses. So we might do that. We'll see. But for now, I've got like 100 different suburban houses that are pre-detailed with lots of nice foliage and stuff. So we're just going to stick with that. Also, another thing, I uninstalled Metro Overhaul mod. I decided that the frame rate drops that I was getting were not worth it. And also, it didn't make too much sense to have a gimmicky LA-style metro on top of the light rail system, because the way Seattle works is it has a light rail that ends up going underground, but it's largely just light rail, and I want to stick with that, make it a lot simpler, a lot more true to form with how Seattle is, in real life, and yeah, so that's we'll talk about transit maybe a little bit later, and how we're going to integrate that, because I'm still thinking about it, and I'm moving away from the subway type transit that I was going to use before. But I think I can do undergrounds, LRT stations, because that's that's the name of the pack that has all of the different infrastructure that I'm using. And then there's an underground station. I don't know if I'm able to actually have it work. I haven't tried. Should probably be fine though, honestly. I'm basically a noob when it comes to the way the mechanics work in this game. I've downloaded procedural objects. I've never really learned how to use it. I'm very old-fashioned, if you couldn't tell already. But I want to work on big cities like this, so I don't need crazy, detailing knowledge or whatever. My detailing's good enough for what we need for the city. It's probably a little overboard for a lot of areas as well, though. But yeah, so this area over here is very hilly. We work with the hills pretty well, though. I'm happy with how we work with the hills. And as you might have been able to tell, I added a bunch of older buildings by this school, because I wanted to have a little bit of an older vibe right here. As you can see, we've got a lot of highway infrastructure we haven't really sorted through here, that we've got to work with. We've got so much to do in the city. It's so big. You see, I'm trying to make these cliff/grass networks work, but apparently ambient occlusion messes with them, so I'm not able to use them, which is unfortunate because they're pretty cool. So that's definitely unfortunate, because when I saw those, I thought they were going to be awesome, but not going to work for me. Also, too many triangles. Well, probably not too many triangles, actually. It's just I don't want to add any more to the city, because we've got already, just so many different crazy buildings, and the FPS it's just going to get destroyed pretty quickly. I'm using a lot of these, as you see over there. Like I'm using a lot of this low brush and the flowers for landscaping. I want to add a lot of flowers in the city, because I have not been able to do that for a while, because New Windsor's set in the autumn. But yeah, I'm also trying to find a balance between open spaces and not. Obviously, it's not going to be completely wooded, especially this close to downtown. But yeah, and then see, I end up using these retaining walls for this highway overpass, and I do that because it's it's on a curve, so I can't really use the Avanya networks, and unfortunately I don't have the actual or the Avanya props, because I don't have the Avanya networks for the underpasses and overpasses, unfortunately. So I should probably download those, but it's fine. Alright, let's go for one more viewer-created build, because this one's pretty cool. It's pretty unique. So, this is by Mohammed. It's a Middle Eastern-style city. This project is really cool. I don't know what city this is specifically based off of, but there's some really cool shots in here. Like, I love this one, with the palm trees and the apartments and everything. It's so cool. And I guess it's very much a work in progress, because if you look from above, it's it's not complete or anything, but I also like the road layout in this one. Awesome project. I really can't wait to see how this turns out here. So if you guys want to have your build featured, just send me an Imgur link, ideally on Twitter or Discord. Those are very good places to do so. And I don't think I have my Discord linked in the description, but you can like find me through different servers or whatever. I don't know. Just send it to me on Twitter. That's usually the best. And I'll show your build off. I mean, hopefully I don't get too many more submissions, because I might have to stop featuring every single build I get sent, because that's what I'm doing right now, just because I'm getting so many submissions. It might just be that I've got to backlog them because I haven't been making videos in a while and I haven't been, going through them, but hopefully be able to get to everything, because I'm getting a lot of submissions, which is awesome, because I love seeing what you guys are building, from Detroit to the Middle East. Really interesting projects. But yeah, okay, back in game, we have a little bit more time-lapse to get through, and then we're gonna hop in game. I want to show you how this looks in context. This is definitely my favorite episode yet, just because we're working on such a interesting type of neighborhood, and it's really unique. I mean, the type of architecture that we have here, I've never really done a neighborhood like this. It's all this, new modern sort of stuff, but not obnoxiously modern. So it's not just old row houses, which is it's interesting to work with stuff like this. And I'm surprised that the vanilla buildings work so well. And I'm also using this sort of mid-rise condo complex here, which is awesome. I'm really happy this came out in the workshop. I've got a parking garage behind it. But yeah, stuff like that is great. If you have any really good apartment buildings that you want to send over, definitely do like semi-modern apartments, not like ridiculously obnoxiously modern. But yeah, I'm enjoying using these different types of buildings, and I hope you guys are enjoying the color scheme, because I'm trying to get it to grow on you guys. The color correction and the way the trees integrate. I hope you'll enjoy the cinematics, because I think those will showcase things pretty well. And also tell me how the brightness is of the video, because last video I started to decrease, or to increase the brightness rather, because it was a little dark for some people. And yeah, I mean, it still looks just as realistic. I don't know how much more I can bump it up if I have to, but I think this is probably fine. Like, I'm looking at it on my screen right now, it looks totally visible, but it's weird on certain devices. So just tell me how it is, and we'll see where we can go from there. But yeah, I'm trying to integrate these apartments in here with, I'm really not detailing all that much. I'm just placing these trees just behind the buildings and stuff like that. Like, really not too much detail, because it's really inefficient to place ridiculous amounts of detail in a city like this that's just so spread out. We're really gonna build far out if we can. And also, people wanted me to have a snow-capped peak in this city. I tried, and I might be able to manage it, but I'd have to have some weird optical illusion or something, because it would be really close to downtown, and also like, you can only terraform up to a certain height, so I wouldn't be able to have I don't know. I don't know how well it would work. Let's just say that. Maybe we can try it on a live stream or something, but from what I've tested, I don't think it's gonna work, but I want to do something like that, because it's so iconic to Seattle or Portland to have something like that. And I also want to go take some inspiration from Vancouver sometime soon, hopefully, because that's not a city I want to neglect, because it's pretty close to Seattle. Obviously a different country, but same region, a lot of similar styles. So that could be really cool to work on a Vancouver-based little project in the city. But yeah, I think we're about done with the time-lapse. Let's hop into some live play, and I can show you what we've built this episode and talk about transit again, because that seems like all we talk about in live plays. But remember, I've removed the underground metro, so we're gonna have to figure that out, and we'll discuss it. All right, folks, we're here in game. Look at this. It's so, I mean, it looks so complete, but we've barely built anything. Yeah, so last episode we worked on this very undetailed district over here, which we're going to have to come back in detail pretty soon. I want to do an episode where I go and fill all these gaps in downtown, but today I felt like, you know, working on this district over here, and I mean, I love it. I think this is really cool. So these apartments, I mean, this is vanilla, this isn't vanilla. I'm sort of mixing in a couple of old buildings, but mostly all of these sort of gentrified buildings over here. This district is generally just epitomizes what you'd expect out of a gentrified urban district. And that was sort of what we were going for here. And we've got all of these... I don't know, these apartments are just so cool because I haven't really built with stuff like this. I didn't know that the vanilla buildings could be this cool. And I mean, I especially like this model right here with all these balconies. It's a really cool building. But then we've got this high-rise apartment building here, which I'm adding, you know, one of those every once in a while or whatever. There'll be fewer and fewer as we, you know, move further out. Starting around here, we're gonna start working on suburbs, like actual suburbs. As you can see here, I placed some suburban homes in this district here. I used some of the, I believe these are from, I mean, these are edited in the asset editor, but they're from the University City DLC or creator pack or whatever. And I mean, they're nestled in between all of these other more, you know, higher density buildings, but that's not uncalled for. There are a lot of things like that you'll see in cities, and we're gonna add more and more of those lower density houses as we move out. This new Darf building is just amazing, though. I mean, look at this. I mean, this gradient is a little bit weird, but this Darf building, I mean, yeah, this is one of Darf's best buildings. It's a solid model. Another thing that I really like, I like this school here. Here, let's change the lighting a little bit. This school is, I mean, I didn't know what else to do with this plot of land here, and I decided to place this. And I don't know, I like it a lot. It blends with the surroundings pretty well, and let me put some trees here. And I mean, I love this view right here. Is just awesome. It's almost like the city's complete, but it definitely isn't. So let's talk about transit. So I haven't done too much, except I uninstalled Metro Overhaul mod, so that station is no longer here. But we've got these underground light rail stations that I want to see. Let's see if they work, because I haven't actually tried them. I don't know where specifically they would be. Let's see. Underground. Sunken tram station. Ooh, okay. Will this work? I mean, I won't be able to place tons of these, but... Ooh, okay, you can see through there. I could probably place, like, some of these between buildings and stuff. This is gonna have to be on flat ground, though. Let's try to, like, get some flat ground going over. I'm using my X and Z keys to zoom in and out. This is really weird, because my mouse is absolutely shot. I gotta definitely get a new mouse. You don't realize how much you use your scroll wheel until you don't have it anymore. Let's see. Oh, that's the wrong building. There we go. Okay, so this is like a big sunken tram station, which is not necessarily what I was going for. I wanted sort of a subway type station. So let's see. I'll figure out maybe alternatives or something, because this is, I mean, this is good for a central station. We'll definitely use this, but I gotta figure out how to have some sort of underground tram station. And this ain't it, Chief, for most of the stations at least. We'll figure that out, because I definitely want to have some sort of subway in the city, but I want it to be connected to the light rail network. But we also have these tram roads. I'm not sure if we'll have light rails going through this way. I know this corridor here is definitely going to have light rails going this way. And we're definitely... I want to add commuter trains as well. The plan is basically to have light rails in the dense areas and then commuter trains sort of going out into the more sparsely populated parts of town. But wow, this is a very dense city. I mean, look at this. It's a lot bigger than New Windsor. Let's just say that. I'm enjoying it a lot. I'm really happy we got to detail this episode because I mean, look at those trees. The color of these trees makes me very happy. So this is what we got. I'm having a great time with this city. It's what I've been wanting to do for a while. Wow, the LOD there, look at that. But oh yeah, I added this really dense park here, or I guess, or dense with trees. And then I added, I mean, this avenue here has got all these purple trees, which is pretty cool. I love this new sunken plaza by King Leno. I think it's King Leno. And then I tried to integrate that here with this I think Salt Lake City building. And yeah, I mean, it's coming along. We're chugging along slowly. Hopefully I can get consistent with uploads, but yeah, hopefully you guys are liking the progress we're making. All right, everybody, that's about it. Hopefully you all enjoyed. If you did, make sure to leave a like. It really does help out. Subscribe if you're new around here, and hit the bell icon if you don't want to miss new episodes. You can support me on Patreon. Just $1 will get you access to the next video right now if you want. You can follow me on Twitter for updates and rants and stuff like that. You can follow me on Instagram for my best screenshots. But that's about it. Hopefully you all enjoyed, and I will see you next time.